Okay, overall updates and upgrades on the Trooper. Basically, the most recent stuff is tactical running boards on the driver's side. I previously only had it on the passenger side while I was experimenting with the design. And I changed the design a little bit by adding more of the side rails. Actually, I think this one's about a ½ inch wider. Just to give you more standing area, a little more safety when jumping on and off. Went with some real off-road mudder tires, something that's a little more subtle. We pulled the center caps off so you can view and service anything on the hubs, but back here you can kind of tell a little more what's going on. There's 1.5 inch wheel spacers in there. They were originally for a Toyota truck. Previous owner, it turned out the guy at the exhaust shop had an Isuzu like this. He had modified those spacers, explained to me how making the stance just at 3 inches wider, because it's a ½ inch on each side, makes the vehicle a lot more stable on the road. And this is an 86 model year, one of the last of the two-door models. So when they transitioned from that body style, the Trooper 2 body style, to the one of the 1990s, they made the vehicle wider. They learned that from the people who were modifying and upgrading and things like that, that making the stance wider was going to help it. So there was the ability with aftermarket stuff to make that happen. The other way people would make that happen is having an offset on the rims. I just did it with that, with keeping the factory rims, remove the center caps, put the off-road tires on, including the spare. Basically, between that and replacing the exhaust and a few other things, I'm like about $1,200. We put new shocks in. The vehicle rides a lot better, and so it's around $1,200 worth of shocks, exhaust, the running board, tires, the wheel spacers, to make the rig more capable, basically, well, combined on off-road driving. But again, it's got a 2-inch lift that barely shows with these wheels on there, and it's basically because of when it was bone stock, there wasn't a whole lot going on with that. And it's not meant to replace a full-size truck. It's meant to be able to get places where it can fit. And I didn't want to get too large on the running gear, but it's getting expensive for a vehicle that was originally only $1,100. But I'm increasing the capabilities as I go along, and the trick is to get my use out of it, because it's not like I'm really increasing the value of the vehicle all that much. So I got to drive cautiously and not have an accident, because you can't get full coverage insurance on something like this. And it's hard to argue the value. You just have to get your use out of it when you spend the money on these types of upgrades.